Welcome back to Gaming 101 with Mr. Berger. Now, I was talking to a coworker earlier today, and I was explaining to her that I'm kind of doing this YouTube thing as a side project, and she shared some valuable information, or a valuable opinion with me, which is one of the things she dislikes is when people sit there and talk about themselves and their lives, and they don't just jump into the content of the video. So that's exactly what I want to do today, is just jump right in. So let's get started here. Today I'm going to be showcasing a Golem Clone deck. Let's look at the Golem. Slow but durable, only attacks buildings, and when he's destroyed, he explosively splits into 2 Golemites and deals area damage. Now keep that in mind, because that's kind of a key component for this deck here. So, the Golem, he's a big tank, and when he dies, he explodes. He splits into 2 little tanks, and when they die, they also explode. That explosion damage does damage to the towers, the enemy tower. Now that being said, that combos really well with Clone. So what I want to do here is run a replay in the background, because I was thinking, last time I was talking for a while about the deck, and I didn't have anything going on. I'm like talking for like 5 or 10 minutes, and there's nothing going on in the background, so that's pretty boring. So let's go ahead and watch a replay as I explain the deck here. I want to go through the deck briefly and explain each card and potential replacements that you could put in there for each card. Now the first card, starting on the very top left, is the Zap. Zap is really good in this deck as your small spell because it interrupts Inferno Dragon and Inferno Tower, which are 2 direct counters to your Golem, which is your main tank and kind of your main win condition in this deck. Keep in mind, this deck, I built it for kind of 2v2. Now, it would probably do just fine in 1v1 in regular arena battles, but I built it with 2v2 in mind, and this is a deck I made myself, of course with an archetype that I was aware of that somebody else had, I'm sure, come up with a long time ago, but it's not one that I got online like I do with many of my other decks. So this is great for 2v2, would probably work as well in 1v1. Let's move on to the next card, and that is the Flying Machine, the Ceiling Fan. I really like Flying Machine. It combos really well with your main tank in this deck, which is the Golem. It sits in the back, kind of like a dart goblin, and it just fires away at everything. It does good damage, almost as much as a musketeer, and it doesn't take a lot to kill it, but it sits there and kind of hides in the back like it snipes stuff, so it avoids damage very well. You got the Tornado. I love Tornado. I put it in almost all my decks. It's very great in this deck as a medium spell because it pulls stuff into your Golem, into your death damage. It also synergizes with your Electro Wizard and your Zap. Guards, I just kind of threw in there. That's definitely a flex spot. I explained in my last video that guards were recently buffed, so they're definitely really great right now. They synergize decently with Clone because there's 3 of them, and they all get their shields if you clone them. So they're decent with Clone. Not too huge. You could replace them with like Skeleton Army, Goblin Gang, Minion Horde, probably some other Horde card or Swarm card like that, or something fun, like a Giant Skeleton if you really wanted to. Something that synergizes well with the Clone. That being said, let's talk about our next card, which is the Clone card. Clone card is very, how would we say this? It's a very niche spell. It only works in certain decks, but when you pull it off, it's very effective. So it works great with Golem, and it works great with anything that has like a death rattle or a death damage, a death effect. I call it a death rattle because that's the term that they use in Hearthstone, which is another game that I love to play. So when something like a giant skeleton dies, it drops a big bomb, and a few seconds later that bomb explodes and does a ton of damage. Now if you clone that giant skeleton, same thing happens with the Clone. The Clone is a really weak, mirrored version. It's a lot lower level, it dies in just 1 or 2 hits, but it still drops that bomb. So, that same concept works with your Golem, which is your next and your main card. When you clone your Golem, he explodes and dies. He also has a clone now. That clone explodes and dies. And now you have 4 Golemites. All 4 of those Golemites explode. So that turns your, 3 explosion, 3 death damages, 3 death rattle damages into 6 instances of that death rattle damage. Next card that we have is the Electro Wizard. Now, Electro Wizard is definitely another flex spot, and I put it in there because it synergizes well with the Golem. It has that stun effect similar to the Zap, which will interrupt, Inferno Tower and Inferno Dragon. Now, let's watch an example of this next game where we just kind of plow through the enemies. I think what happened at the end here, I'll pull up the elixir count, I'll pull up the enemy's cards. I think one of the enemy teammates actually left. Regardless, you can see an example of the potential of all of this damage. That's actually a teammate's golem, because my golem's only level 5. You can see that it was level 6. Let's talk about that last card. You can see exactly what the Lumberjack did right there at the beginning. He sat behind the golem. Now, Lumberjack runs really quickly, he dies really quickly. If you place him behind your golem, he's really light while the golem's really heavy, so he won't push him in the way that a hog will push a knight, for example. So the Lumberjack will stay behind your golem, and he'll have the potential to wail on an enemy tower as your golem is tanking for it. Now we easily take out their left tower there, and the right tower is getting pushed as well. You can see one of the enemies isn't spending any elixir, so it's not exactly the prime example of, a stomped match, because it was kind of a 2-on-1, not exactly fair play. Regardless, you can see some of the potential of the deck. Now, last thing about that Lumberjack, he has a death rattle effect as well. So when he dies, then he drops his rage spell, basically. So you clone the Lumberjack, and each of those will drop a rage spell. Your clone one is a lot more susceptible to like zaps or any AoE, so he'll probably die first, which gives the potential for your initial Lumberjack to benefit from that rage spell that your cloned Lumberjack just dropped. Let's look at this next battle. I got 3 more that I want to walk through, and I'll try to kind of explain them as we go through them. What do we call it? I called it a showcase in my last couple videos, so I really like that. I'll showcase this deck through these videos. Alright, so one of us gives a good luck here. That's probably me, because I always like giving a good luck at the beginning of my matches. I don't mean it sarcastically. Honestly, it's just like, it's a video game. We're having fun here. Good luck, guys. I hope you do well. Have a fun time. Now, my teammate tried to log the Goblin Barrel, which is a great thing to do. It totally shuts it down. But even more effective is pulling their initial Goblin Barrel like that into your King Tower and activating the King Tower. I talked about this in a previous video, how you can do that with hogs mainly. You can also do it with a lot of units. Goblin Barrel is just one of the many. You can pull a Knight, probably even like a Valkyrie, even E-Barbs, although that's kind of risky because they could kind of slip up and attack the Princess Tower. What else? Golem, you can actually pull that in. Alright, so let's see, the Golem here is getting locked down by that Inferno Tower. See, the Ewiz was in the back to try to support it, but they actually did a good job of shutting down the Ewiz by putting the Goblin Gang out there. Now let's look here. All that stuff reaches the tower. I cloned there, so we actually did get a good chunk of damage off there. But at this point, it's more of my teammate's a giant that's doing all the damage. Alright, so they're pushing on the right side with the Hog. I've already got that King Tower activated. See what a big difference that makes? We had no extra units on defense, and that Hog did a good amount of damage. It got the tower down to like below half health. But having the 2 King Tower activated, the 2 King Towers activated, even more so in 2v2 than in 1v1 with just the 1 King Tower, makes a huge difference, because it gives you a huge extra burst of DPS when there's any unit within the range. So anytime like a melee unit gets up to your Princess Tower like so, that Ice Golem for example, your King Towers will start shooting at it. Look at that, they just take out that Goblin Barrel. It gets like 1, maybe 2 hits off, but the King Towers and the Electro Wizard make good work of it. So we're going to try to double push on the right here. Let's see how it goes. Okay, well, the Inferno Dragon and the Inferno Tower do a good job of shutting down the Giant Skeleton, but the Giant Skeleton's bomb explodes and annihilates both of them. Now look at this Golem and all this support pushing on the right there. I cloned there, but there's no need at that point, because the tower's already dead. Regardless, that gives us even more potential to do a huge push here. The fun of playing huge beatdown decks like this, especially Golem decks, more than anything, because they're like the heaviest tank in the game basically, is that you can just get one big push going, tear through one tower, and just kill their King Tower. You can lose a full tower, ignore a whole side. I've seen, the guy that holds like the record for streaming the most games, or streaming nonstop, or I think it's like the most wins in the game or something like that. He runs a Golem deck. He'll just like completely ignore, what's his name, Gendrago or something like that. He'll completely ignore one lane and let his tower fall and just slowly push in the other lane and just win 3-1. And he'll just like completely not mention anything about it, not say anything, and then just win the game. Because that's the potential of a huge push. Now it's a kind of a fun little win here. We slowly chip away at them. We don't quite get it, but look at this. Log, and then I zap at the end here. Yeah, there it is. He logs. My teammate does a double log because he's running mirror, but my zap actually just barely finished it off there. Alright, I got a couple more replays that I want to run through. So this next one, it's a fun deck that my teammate's running. He's running Giant Sparky, which is a good archetype, a good beatdown. He's also got the Executioner Tornado combo in there, which is great in almost any deck, and then just a few support cards. He's got a Miner in there for, who knows, maybe defense and offense. Miner is just a huge, great card all around. Log is great as well, and he's running Minions and Mega Minion just for the fun of the double air. So, let's go ahead and jump on in here. Yeah, you can see he's got Sparky in hand. I usually do replays in double time, but for the sake of running through them in my channel here, I'll do these in single time because it gives me more time to kind of talk about and explain what's going on, actually showcase the decks and explain them rather than just show you replays like, hey guys, look at me playing the game. That's not all I want to do. I want to explain how these decks are played and why they're effective. So maybe I should go more into details like starting hands. I love placing my Golem in the back there. I don't generally start it in a 1v1 match as my first play, but in 2v2 it's a little bit safer because your teammate can potentially, defend one side. Because if you put a big heavy unit like a Golem on the right side, they're bound to like Hog or E-Barbs on the left side to try to counter push, because you'll just have used most of your elixir. Now look at this huge clone here. Look at the death damage. Oh man, it got it down to like half health just from the Golem smacking it once, the Golemite smacking it once, and all of them exploding. Now the flying machine gets in some chip damage at the end there, and you can see its potential. It gets a few shots off, and it's kind of like a musketeer. It does good, decent DPS at good range. It's very susceptible to spells though. It dies to like Fireball. I think arrows, depending on their level, will kill it or almost kill it. Zap probably wouldn't kill it. I mean, I'd have to double check the HP, but I'm almost certain that a Zap wouldn't kill the flying machine. Now let's see what we got here. We got another big push going. They use their Inferno Tower to counter his Golem, his Giant, which gives my Golem the potential to go in there, because now they don't have the Inferno Tower in cycle. But do I even have enough elixir? Let's look. Well, I got Golem coming up, so it looks like I might place it a little bit later here, or am I going to go on defense? Yeah, I opt to go on defense. That's probably a good decision. You have the potential to do these huge pushes, and it's a very heavy deck. And heavier decks shine. Generally, they shine more when it's double elixir. So if you go into double elixir time and just buy time until then, that's probably a good thing for you. I mean, there's always going to be a bunch of circumstances, but just, generally, that's a good scenario for you. And we got a hard defend here. They got a huge push coming, level 13 E-Barbs. E-Barbs are great when they're over-leveled like that, but they're not good at tournament standard level or at max level versus another max level player. Same thing with Royal Giant right there, max level Royal Giant. Anybody that's around my rating will know that you'll see a ton of Royal Giants, E-Barbs, and Ladder, because like I just mentioned, they're really powerful when they're leveled up. And look at the Sparky, just blowing that stuff up. It has AoE damage, splash damage, so it kills the wizard at the same time as doing damage to the Royal Giant. I think that we opt to just ignore the right side to go for the 2 win. What do they call it in this game? I almost called it stars. It's 2 crowns. 2 crown win. Alright, on the left here, it looks like we got a big push coming in. They counter it pretty well. See, Clone is really weak HP-wise. Like, the cloned units don't have much health. They die really easily. So they'll just be insta-give to anything like Zap. Zap, arrows, log, it'll just take out your whole clone army, which is what just happened. Regardless, it got off like a third of the tower's health. Now, somebody's getting a tornado here. Was that me? Oh, I missed the card log when I was looking at that part of the replay there. Anyway, somebody tornadoed there, and what it does there is it pulls the Golem, the Giant and the Royal Giant away from our Princess Tower and makes them retarget the King Towers because they've got a lot more health. That's beneficial to us. Because at this point, it's whoever gets the next tower wins, which is what we just do there on the left side with a big push. So far you've seen some awesome examples of the potential of the Golem and the Clone. You've seen some great support cards, that go into that deck. Now let's watch this last replay here in the newest arena, Electro Valley. Somebody told me there's like a Brawl Stars Easter egg in here. I don't know what it is because I don't play Brawl Stars, but it's another Supercell game, which is, you know, obviously the company that makes Clash Royale, Clash of Clans, Boot Beach, all those awesome games. They make 8-Ball Pool, right, as well. Alright, well, we got a level 13 Royal Giant coming on the left here. This is a great example of the Tornado. I pull his Miner in. That's another unit that you can pull into your King Towers to activate them. So as soon as they Miner, Goblin Barrel, Hog, Valkyrie, Knight, anything, you know, Giant, Golem, whatever, gets to your Princess Tower, you can pull it in with a Tornado, and it's very effective for the rest of the game. Look at that clone there on the left side. Not too effective, but you can see the potential of the clone dropping 2 rage spells. Of course, that doesn't do you much good. You're not going to get twice the rage effect. It just gives you more area, essentially. So it, you know, it covers more ground. You can get more units in the rage spells. But if one drops earlier because your clone dies before the original Lumberjack, then you get that rage spell for all of its duration. I think it's like 6 seconds now. I'll have to double check that. And then the second one drops a few seconds later. Then, you know, obviously it'll last even longer. So your 6 or so seconds could turn into 8 or as many as 12, depending on when the Lumberjacks die. Now we got to defend on the left here. That Fireball just annihilates that Wizard, which is great for us. We do a pretty good job of defending on the left. Now see what I did with the Flying Machine there is I placed it actually on the right side of the arena. And since it has decent range, it's got good range, it shoots defensively on the left side of the arena and then continues to counter push on the right side. Now it was sitting on the middle of the river there for a second. I guess it's a river of wires in this map. And it was just kind of floating above that and just pew-pewing everything at its long range. So that shows you the potential. Now look at the left there, we got the clone effect going strong. What I did is I saw that they didn't have much elixir. You know, I just kind of figured that out based on the trades that have been going on so far. And, you know, I just saw that the Dark Prince and the archers were there, and they probably didn't see that as much threat, so they didn't want to throw anything down to counter it. So I cloned it at the last second, and it plowed through that tower. So at this point, we honestly just have to play defense, but I think that we lose a second tower here, if I'm not mistaken. We'll go through it in a second here. Yeah, that's what I decide to do here, is I just go for the right push. I'm like, screw it. Let's go ahead and get 2... 2 crowns, not 2 stars. 2 crowns. And let's let our tower fall, because that'll extend the game a little bit longer and allow us to just push on the right side instead. So they defend hard with the E-Barbs and Mega Minion doing their job, playing defense and then counter pushing. They opt to drop a giant and try to go for a big push here at the end. Super successful Tornado. Somebody else zapped. One of us zapped, I'm not sure who it was. And that combos really well with a Tornado. We successfully defend with taking almost no damage on our tower. Now we just got to counter push a little bit. Maybe lay down a few spells. He tries to Royal Giant in the pocket there to go for a Hail Mary win. But we got way more damage. My teammate had that Fireball at the end there. And I think he was running the Poison as well, because I wasn't running any super heavy spells or even medium spells in that deck. I think I'm just running, yeah, I'm just running Zap and Tornado because I'm running Clone. Alright guys, well, that is my showcase of a Golem Clone deck. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate your time. Have a good night, have a good day, whatever time it is for you, and I'll catch you next time.